It is Rockets Report, and I mean, fresh off the shower somewhere. I mean, you can smell that.
Oh, yeah.
Smelled a nice aroma when
maybe
Scott
the air
walked in
freshener.
here.
Maybe the air freshener.
No, is that Irish Spring?
No, I keep the car fresh. I forget the exact.
It was something.
I forget the exact Mountain Breeze.
Mountain Breeze. Okay, there
something
was
to that effect. I think it's got Mountain and Breeze.
Hell of a
in it.
shower in there, boy. That's
shower too, though.
That's a great.
I do believe. I don't believe in just covering up funk with sprays and smells.
Yeah.
I feel like you need to be clean, and if you want to add a little extra, or if you need to add a little extra, go ahead and do that.
Shout out to Axe, who used to just cover up people's funk. But we know the opponent now for the Rockets in the first round. It's going to be Golden State, and right now, early, kind of a two-part here. What part of this do you feel most confident about going into this series for the Rockets, and what is the thing that is concerning for you in this series?
So most confident, I would say the defense translating, and that's something that we talked about week in and week out. I feel like that they play their own identity and they don't get away from that. And they have had some instances, some stretches throughout the season where they have gotten away from that. But for the most part, when they play to their identity, I feel like they have both the defensive strategy and ability that'll translate from the regular season to the playoffs. So I feel most confident that the defense that we've seen from them, the top 5 defense that we've seen from them throughout the year, is not a fluke. It's not a flash in the pan. It's not something that's just isolated to the regular season. It's something that they can do against the Warriors, and if they make it past the Warriors, against whatever team they face after that. I believe in that. What I'm concerned about when it comes to this series against the Warriors, a couple of things. You look at that game, okay, I went into that game, the play-in game between the Warriors and the Grizzlies, feeling really confident and somewhat arrogant about the Rockets' chances against either one of those teams. And I know y'all have done those segments, right, of who would you rather the last couple of days going into that game, like who would you rather, Memphis or the Warriors? And a lot of people, for, I think, emotional reasons, were saying the Warriors, and I think you guys, for logical reasons, were saying the Grizzlies. And I agreed with actually both. You know, like I could identify with both. But, man, I came away from that game between how Jimmy Butler played and how Steph Curry woke up in the fourth quarter and how their role players starred in their roles last night, feeling a lot differently about Golden State than I did going into that game last night. So there's one part of it. And then the other one is the stars for the Rockets have not played like stars against the Warriors, save for some moments of a game they played about 10 days ago or so, something like that, at Golden State. I thought he had a pretty strong game with Draymond Green doing some Draymond Green things and Şengün kind of rising to the moment. But if you look overall, they've played this team 5 times already this season. The Warriors have won 3 of the games, but in the majority of the games, those guys, and I'm talking specifically about Alperen Şengün and Jalen Green, really have not played up to standard against the Warriors. So obviously we talked about how you need them to raise their game to another level. We need them to arrive as stars if the Rockets are to be taken seriously, and I think they should be taken seriously, but they haven't exactly done it against the Warriors throughout the season.
How confident are you, and you may have just answered this question with that answer, but how confident are you in Jalen Green being the guy that can manage the game, have the ball in his hands in critical moments, and be the guy that can win a series?
Man, it's the ultimate question. When you ask about my confidence, like, it's up and down. I'm not going to lie to you. It's up and down. Sometimes I feel really good about it. Sometimes I don't feel great about it. I felt better about it over the last couple of years with the infrastructure around him. Like, one of the things I've been saying about the Rockets is, and I think is impressive about them, is how they're able to overcome some of these moments that we're talking about, right? Like, they still won 2 of those games that I'm talking about against the Warriors when their stars haven't shown up. They've done this before. Like, on a given night, Dylan Brooks or Fred VanVleet or Jabari Smith or somebody else might carry them throughout the night, or Amen Thompson can have one of those games. And they don't necessarily always need those guys to be brilliant, or at least haven't seasoned. I do feel like that changes to a degree in the playoffs. Maybe they can even survive it a night or 2 or a game or 2 against the Warriors in this series. Maybe they can even make it through this series. But if we're talking about the length of a playoff run, like past the first round, getting past the Warriors and after that, they're going to need those guys to step up in ways that they have not specifically against the Warriors so far this season.
You talked about, and Brandon Scott with this Rockets report, is they get going Sunday night, game one between the Warriors and the Rockets. And it's almost weird. Obviously, the Warriors are a great team. It's almost weird to think that Jalen Green and Şengün, the two top players for, the scoring threats. Obviously, Amen Thompson's there as well. But those two guys have struggled because I look at them in matchups, and I feel like they should have, really good matchups, right? Like, I think Draymond is obviously a great defender, but he clearly has an advantage in size on him. And we've looked at it. The Warriors have been giving up big numbers to centers here of late that aren't anywhere close to the level of Şengün. And then obviously Jalen Green as well. I really look at Şengün. I know Clint is big on Jalen Green, but this should be a dominant series to me for Alfred Şengün.
Yeah, I think so as well, especially coming off of, like, if you want to have some type of recency bias or look at it as what have you done for me lately, Şengün, a couple of things with Şengün. I think he himself has kind of emerged as a more fit, and he's still clunky and awkward out there. But, man, he's really stepped up from a physicality standpoint. And one of the things that I think has helped that has also been the presence of Steven Adams, right? When they're able to go out there with that double big lineup, and really just his presence overall has kind of helped up the toughness. I don't think that was a problem with the team overall, but for Şengün specifically, having Steven Adams around as an enforcer and finding out that lineup, that double big lineup is viable. Like, it's not just when they first did it a couple of months ago, it was like an experiment. It was like, hey, let's see how this looks, how it works. Now it's something that you know that you can really go to. And in some cases, and I think the Warriors are one of these teams, you match up well specifically against these teams when you're able to sort of body up, be physical, and really play that brand of basketball. I think they can do that against the Warriors. If they make it this far, I think they can do that against the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's one of the things that they can really hang their hats on as a team.
What is the game plan? What's the path to beating Golden State? The double bigs worked. I know the game I watched late against Golden State, where you mentioned Şengün did some work. I mean, they if I remember correctly, they ran a lot. They ran quite a bit of that double big, and it was effective. But what do you think is the path to getting through Golden State if they are able?
Yeah, so I think it goes without saying that they got to knock their shots down. Like, they just had this issue of, at times, man, they just go cold, or they're just not good enough offensively, and that's a real issue for them. No way to really sugarcoat that. But I do think when you ask about a path, the most favorable matchup, and Joe asked about this earlier, like, what do you feel most confident in or comfortable with going into the series? And I mentioned defense. I think it's the fact that you can guard. This is the thing about the Rockets going against the Warriors. They can guard Stephen Curry with Amen Thompson and Jimmy Butler with any mix of Dillon Brooks and Tari Eason. And I don't know how many teams have that great of a mix of not just two, but three players. And not to mention whatever Jabari Smith can give you. I know that Jalen Green is not known as a defensive player, but he is athletic and I think tries more now under Ime Udoka. So they got all these options that they can throw at a perimeter player. And, of course, the Warriors have two of them that are great. And the Rockets have, at minimum, three great to really good defenders that they can throw at a guy. So I think they can make things disruptive. I think they can make things really hard on the Warriors, who, by the way, have been known lately to make things hard on themselves, as good as they've been since they traded for Jimmy Butler. The way that they ended the season, they've made things hard on themselves. The Rockets make things hard on other teams. So I think it's a hell of a matchup.
I think a low-key thing, because there's a lot to talk about, and we will over the next couple of days. But the Jonathan Kuminga situation is really, really strange for Golden State. And it's really strange that he's not playing, and really, I think something, as you watch all these games with the Rockets, and they played 5 times, their best player in the games against the Rockets. And he's got multiple 20-point games. He had 33 at 23 in 26 minutes.
Yep.
And it doesn't look like he is going to play, and he is their best athlete. Another guy that you might have to deal with. That, I wonder I wonder if Steve Kerr maybe changes things and plays Jonathan Kuminga, because that could be a huge, huge help to the Rockets, if that guy who has lit them up this year isn't going to play.
And all this damage that you're talking about that Jonathan Kuminga has done, he's done it off the bench. Like, it's not like it's one of those, hey, like Reed Shepherd and Cam Whitmore, thrusted into the starting lineup because they're not playing their guys or guys are hurt. Like, it's Kuminga coming in there and giving you like some type of microwave situation where he's able to come off the bench and give you 23 or
33
more
in a game.
Yeah, like he is one of their more capable guys, and it is a wonder that they've been able to kind of get through this without him playing. It's actually interesting you bring that up, because they lost that game against the Clippers, which was a hell of a game, right? Like, that was just a hell of a game overall. Lost that game against the Clippers at the end of the season. In overtime, Kuminga didn't play. They win the game against Memphis. Kuminga also didn't play. That obviously was a back-and-forth game, a game that Memphis obviously could have won. If they don't win that game, there's a lot of side-eyeing of, hey, how did you have this player off to the side that you didn't play? I don't think that's going to be an issue with the Rockets for them, for the reasons that you mentioned, because of a lot of the conversation that's been around Kuminga, and because you have –
there's no way he doesn't play in this series.
You've got imperial evidence that he is where you need athletes. You need guys that can wreak havoc and muck up a game the way that the Rockets do. So you're going to have to fight fire with fire if you're Golden State, and I imagine that Kuminga is going to be in the mix.
Yeah, the athletes that the Rockets are out there, they got to have him out there. And I mean, maybe he looks over there and thinks that's Jason Tatum down there with Team USA on his jersey, and he's like, nah, man, I ain't gonna play him.
But think about all of the guys that I just mentioned, man, the athletes that they're throwing out there between Jalen Green, Amen Thompson, Tari Eason, Cam Whitmore's probably not going to be in the rotation, but like you're talking about the Rockets with guys that are good that don't get in the mix. And so I don't think that they're going to be able to afford to not fight fire with fire here.
I don't know. The two most important games of their season.
Yeah.
Brian Windhorst said he didn't even have a jersey on under his warm-up.
It didn't seem like he needed to.
He didn't.
And then they had that video of him out there getting shots after the Clippers game, like saying, "Hey, I'm here."
Didn't play a dime and went out and got shots after.
Get him up, baby.
Damn, man.
Get him up when you're knocking them down and you're playing, and get him up when you're not playing.
Yeah, he is basically their Cam Whitmore, but he's been around longer and is probably a lot more important to their actual team.
It's been in their rotation.
Than Whitmore is. Oh, yeah, no, 100%.
All right, coming up, a little 5 o'clock fire. That's B. Scott every single Wednesday, 4:40. Be listening to him as he is all over the station and on sportsradio610.com.